honorable judges, ladies and gentlemen, fellow debaters, and esteemed colleagues from the affirmative have presented an interesting proposition, but this House believes their plan to incentivize mass relocation from urban to rural areas is ultimately flawed. The motion presents that this House believes that governments should provide significant financial incentives for urban citizens to move to rural areas. First, let's consider the very nature of the motion. While urban overpopulation is a concern, it's crucial to address the root causes, not simply moving people around. Urban centers are hubs for innovation, education, economic activity, and disrupting this ecosystem can have unintended consequences. There are also goal misalignment here. The goal should be to create a sustainable future for both urban and rural areas. The proposition focuses solely on relocating people, neglecting the development of rural infrastructure, skills training, and ensuring sustainable practices within those areas. There are also reasoning and examples on this case, which are 1. Limited impact. When the financial incentives alone may not be enough to entice a significant portion of the population to relocate, many urban dwellers value the amenities and career opportunities that the cities offer. And then the second one is disruption and cost. Mass relocation can be incredibly disruptive and expensive. The government would need to invest heavily in infrastructure development, i.e., housing, healthcare, and education in rural areas to accommodate an influx of people. Well, let's imagine a scenario where 1,000 of people are suddenly incentivized to move to a rural town. The existing schools, hospitals, and housing may not be able to handle this strain. The government would need to spend significant resources on infrastructure development to catch up, potentially neglecting existing needs in both urban and rural areas. The opposition might argue that both this investment in rural areas ultimately benefits everyone. Investing in rural areas is certainly important, but it shouldn't come at the expenses of neglecting existing urban infrastructure. A more strategic approach would be to invest in targeted development projects in rural areas, alongside programs that addresses the root cause of urban overpopulation, such as lack of job opportunities. Exploring through the alternative solution that promote balanced growth, we can conclude that it's first, urban job training, where we invest in skill development programs within the urban areas to equip residents with the skill needed for existing or emerging jobs. This can help address unemployment without necessarily requiring relocation. The second one is remote work opportunities, where facilitate and encourage remote work opportunities for urban residents in established companies or startups. This allows people to live outside major cities while contributing to the urban economy. The third one is sustainable rural development. Invest in renewable energy sources, public transportation system, and water conservation in rural areas. This promotes long-term sustainability and make this area more attractive without relying solely on attracting corporation. Then the fourth one and the last one is supporting rural entrepreneurship. Programs and funding specifically for rural entrepreneurs can foster the creation and growth of locally owned SME. These businesses are more likely to understand and cater to the needs of their communities. There are also rebuttal to opposing urban to rural relocation incentives, which the reasoning and examples would be money and private investment in rural development, where the proposition suggests that throwing money in private investment at rural areas as a solution. While investment is important, it needs careful planning and consideration. The second one is limited scope, where financial incentives may not address the root causes of urban migration, such as lack of education and skilled jobs in rural areas. Simply throwing money at the problem might not be enough to keep people there. The third one, unsustainable practices. Attracting the wrong kind of investment could lead to unsustainable practices. Subsidies without proper regulation might encourage resource depletion or environmentally harmful agriculture. The fourth one and the last one is corporate exodus. Large corporations may be hesitant to relocate to rural areas due to limited infrastructure and access to talent. Focusing solely on attracting corporations could neglect the potential of smaller and locally owned business. Also, the opposition might argue that can't we regulate this investment to ensure sustainability? Well, regulation is crucial, but it's not foolproof. Effective implementation requires significant resources and enforcement mechanism. There's also a risk of stifling legitimate investment altogether. The proposition also highlights the potential for SMEs to create jobs in rural areas. However, this approach has limitations, which includes the limited rural appeal, where many SMEs may be hesitant to relocate to rural areas due to a smaller talent pool, limited infrastructure, and potentially lower consumer demand. Incentives may not be enough to overcome these challenges. Then the second one is urban hubs, where the cities are hubs for innovation, collaboration, and access to resources that are crucial for many SMEs to thrive. A mass exodus of SMEs could stifle urban economic growth. And the third one and the last one is uneven distribution, where encouraging SMEs to relocate to rural areas might lead to a situation where some areas cease as a boom while others remain underdeveloped. Targeted incentives and infrastructure development are crucial to ensure balanced growth. So in conclusion, the challenges of urban population and rural decline are more complex and require a multifaceted approach. While financial incentives might sound appealing on the surface, a more sustainable solution lies in targeted development programs, skill training, and fostering balanced growth in urban and rural areas. Thank you.